Hello and welcome. This video is about selecting a word for your year. Yep, your word for your year. I'm going to give you three things you need to know as you head out to find your word. One is why it matters, why this is such a valuable process to go through, and how it can actually change your life and change how you live every day. Second thing I want to include is the process. There's a lot of words out there. How do you actually pick a word? How do you actually pick your word for your year? We'll chat about that. And then third, oh yeah, you've gone through the process, you understand the importance of it, but now we're going to answer the question, okay, what now? You have your word. How do you actually put it into action? What do you do with it? I'm going to give you all kinds of examples. And as we get closer to the end of the video, I'll share my own little experience and some of the processes that I went through. And in particular, the word I ended up choosing for 2025. I'm very excited about it, but it also was a bit of I don't know, a shaky process. I'll share those experiences with you as we get further into the video. Okay, first of all, why even have a word of the year? The main difference I see between a word of the year and a New Year's resolution is that a word of the year is about how you want to feel in the upcoming year. A New Year's resolution is about what you want to do. I have a little example for you about New Year's resolutions and Year of the Word. So I've often, not always, but often set New Year's resolutions. And one year I set the New Year's resolution that, don't judge me for this. We're friends. I'm feeling I can share this with you. I set my New Year's resolution as I want to swear more. I want to start using swear words and cuss words a little bit more. I'm not what you would call a swearer. I'm not somebody who usually is swearing as part of my everyday speech. It's just not my thing. But I don't know. Dropping a good swear word every once in a while, it feels very liberating. And so I put one year as I want to start swearing more. And so it kind of fizzled out. It just didn't feel right because I was trying to swear all the time, and that did not align with who I was or my personality. But had I gone a bit deeper, and I only am realizing this now looking back on it, the reason it was my New Year's resolution is because I loved how it felt. I felt a little bit liberated and free and a bit of a badass when I was saying swear words. And so that was kind of what was driving that New Year's resolution. The New Year's resolution didn't hold out. I couldn't stick to it because it didn't, I don't know, it was kind of a silly one. But if I really look back into how it made me feel, maybe if I was picking a word of a year for that year, it would have been liberating, freedom. I don't know what the word would be, but again, I use that just as an example to show a little bit of a difference between New Year's resolution and your word of the year. Your word of the year should be a word that guides you in a variety of circumstances and situations. It should be a word that can bring you focus in a situation, and it should be simple to do. And most importantly, it should be meaningful to you. And this is why I'm getting a little excited to share with you what my word is and why I picked it. Not because I'm looking for your approval or agreement, but because of the fact that it is simple, it is meaningful to me. It won't be to you. You need to find your own word. And so that's what we're going to chat about next is how do you find your word? There are all kinds of things you can do to find your word. I'm going to share with you the process that I see most often referred to in other videos and in literature online. And I'm also going to share the process that I actually tried and used. And so some of you may already have your word. For some, there's not much of a process. You know your word just like that. You see the title of a book, or you see a word, or you hear a sentence, or you read something in a book, and your word just jumps out to you, or just because of your life experiences, you know how you want to feel in the upcoming year, or more specifically, you know how you do not want to feel. That's often the prompt to get us started on figuring out how we want to feel. So the process for finding your word can be multifaceted. Mine usually takes over a few days, and this is actually the first year that I've put some real deliberate effort into it. I've over the last few years I've had a word, I haven't put a whole lot of thought in it. And it starts with a bit of a review of your past year. And Mel Robbins just did on one of her podcasts. I'll put the link down here. It wasn't about finding your word of the year, but it was about doing a year-end audit of your life to see how you want to live for the next year, which ties so nicely into finding your word of the year. I'll link to that down below. But some of the things that she talked about, some great ways to think about your past year and some of the experiences you have, we automatically think that we'll just remember everything, but you don't. Some examples she had said is go through your phone on your camera roll. Start January 1st of last year and go through your camera, go through your photos. You'll be surprised of the things that you did that you totally forgot about. And then you'll also be a little surprised, or maybe not surprised, maybe it's a better word to say, you'll be reminded of how certain situations made you feel. And so if you see pictures of, I don't know, hanging out with friends or family members or going on a going on a special vacation, whatever it might be, you'll see the pictures and that kind of evokes certain emotions in you. And so as you're looking at those pictures and those reminders, think about how it made you feel. Jot it down. That's how you start your list. Basically, what we're doing, the first step is to generate a list of words. And that starts with by doing a review of your year, and going through your camera roll is a fabulous way to get you started with that. That's just one example of how to start thinking about the past year. Other examples are review your daytime or your online calendar, look at your journals, any notes that you keep. Go through some of those things. Remember, this is just about priming your brain, thinking about the last year and how you felt in different circumstances. As you're going through a little walk down memory lane of your past year, and again, this is priming your brain. You can't figure out where you want to go if you don't know where you've been and where you are now. So as you're going through this, either looking at your photos or looking in your calendar, and you're thinking, oh, yeah, that was so fun. I love that. It made me feel whatever, happy, peaceful, whatever the feeling might be. Write those words down. You are just trying to do a brain dump of potential words. Don't judge them, don't overthink it. You're just writing the words down. It's like a brainstorm. You can cross things out later, and it doesn't matter if you have a duplication or you have words written 2 or 3 times. You don't have to remember every word that you've written. This is just really getting the stuff down on paper, and it's fun. I did mine over a few days. I started my little list, and then then after I started to think about it, I would have words pop into my mind at odd times when I'm driving, when I was out taking pictures or doing some photo. A hobby of mine is to photograph nature. When I was out doing some of that, when I was just out for a run, I would just think of these words or think of moments, and so I'd had them in my phone, in my notes in my phone. I have them on sticky notes. I have them at the top of pages in my journal. I have them stuck on little other notes. I found a bill that was on our counter. Yes, we still get paper bills for some of our bills, I guess. Written on the top of that, I had a word written there. Your process doesn't have to be this messy, but it's okay if it is. Some people are just able to do it within a day or a couple hours or whatever. I just like to really let things percolate and think about it in different ways. So whatever works for you, whether it's over a few days or it's just taking an hour out of a day, or whether you just dedicate a walk or a run to think about it, whatever works for you. But the idea is to start thinking about how you want to feel. And they can be action words, verbs, or it can be nouns. Like it might be harmony, peace, action, elevate, shine, build, thrive, or bloom, blossom, deliberate, gratitude, growth. The list is endless. You want your list to be words that resonate with you. As you're generating or creating your list, you can also ask yourself some questions just to get you thinking. You can ask questions to help reflect on your past year. Where have I struggled? Where have I found the most joy? What has caused the most frustration or the most hurt? What have I learned? What experiences made me laugh? Then you can also ask questions to think about your year ahead. What do I want to do next year and why? What values are important to me? What do I want or need more of in my life? How would I define a great day? How do I want to feel? These are questions only you can answer. I'll also put a link to a really great YouTube channel that I found as I was researching for to make my video about this. But there's a channel called Your Luminous Life. And she has a couple of episodes, at least two, maybe three, on your word of the year or selecting your word of the year. And has some great ideas. So check that out. I'll put the links below. After you've gotten your list, you got a pretty good list to start with. Take your time, and some of those things, when you look at that, you'll say, no, that's not a word I want to use as my word of the year. And you'll cross those out and hopefully get your list down to 2, 3, 4, 5 words on there. And then for those words, start to look for synonyms for those words, words that mean the same thing, and look up the actual dictionary definition of the words that you're starting to narrow down on. So this was a big thing for me, the dictionary and the thesaurus. So I had a huge list that I started with, and then I just easily crossed out a bunch of things. But then I kind of got it down to 2 words: create or cultivate. And I know, what's your reaction to that? Do you think like, what? That's boring, or does it not resonate with you at all? Or do you think, ooh, that makes sense? I'm curious about your reaction to that, because if you're hearing that my words got down to create or cultivate, and you're thinking, oh my God, those words don't even really make sense. That's okay. That was exactly my reaction when I watched several videos or read articles by other people and they shared what their words were. At first, I thought, oh, went through all that process to pick that word, but that's because that wasn't my word, that was their word. And create or cultivate, they're not your words, they're my words, so they're not meant to resonate with you. But let me continue with my story about getting down to these two words. So I had them and I was back and forth, and I actually use them. I tried to think about how I'd use them every day. And we'll talk about that in a few minutes about how, okay, after you pick your word, what do you do with it now? And I don't know, I was still back and forth. But what was the deciding factor for me is when I looked up the literal definitions in the dictionary. And as soon as I read the definition for create, I knew it. I knew that that was the word for me. That would be my word for the year in 2025. And I'm very excited about it. Why I'm excited about it is because it fits perfectly with what I want to do in the next year and how I want to feel. My channel, my YouTube channel is called Lead Your Living, taking the lead in your own living. As I keep saying, nobody else is going to do it. Nobody's coming. It is up to you to take action and live the life that you want to live, or create the life that you want. And this is why, and so I thought cultivate could work as well. But when I looked up the definition, listen to the definition of create that I found. Bring into existence. That kind of felt good, but it was this next definition: cause something to happen as a result of one's actions. That was it for me. I just knew. As soon as I read that definition, I knew that is my word. I'm going to use it. It is a word that can be applied to every aspect of my life. I want to create ease and well being. If you read the introduction for this channel, it talks about the purpose of my channel is to create a little bit of ease and well being in my corner of the world. Or it can be about creating good energy in a situation, or it could be about creating my best life that I've talked about. And I've written down create wellness, create joy, create fun. So I do want to create all of these things. And so that's why the word fits for me. It's not your word. This doesn't have to make sense to you. It doesn't have to resonate with you. But maybe your word is joy, how you're going to find joy. Maybe your word is peace, that you're going to be reminded when you're in situations that are unsettled or you're feeling anxious and overwhelmed. You're going to think, okay, what can I do? What action can I take to create peace or find peace? The most important thing is that your word should set the direction for your upcoming year. It should inspire you. It should energize you. It should make sense to you. It should feel meaningful to you. So, the third thing we want to talk about is what now? Okay, you've put the time and effort in, you understand the importance of having a word, you've gone through the process and you have your word now and you're ready to go. So, what the heck are you supposed to do with it? Here's some ideas. Remember, this is supposed to set direction and guide you in your upcoming year. So, these are some ways to incorporate it into your everyday living and to remind you and to stay focused on it. And so, you can put it in on this channel that I mentioned earlier, the Your Luminous Life. I loved one of her suggestions. She said, set it as your password. Obviously, put some other characters around it to make it a secure password, but you can use it as a password so that you're constantly reminded of what your word is, and again, that repetition helps to send a little signal to your brain that it's important to you. You can find a quote or make up your own quote, make a nice poster with it, so that you will see it. Make it as a screensaver or put it on an actual printout poster. There's all kinds of things that you can do to make and include visual reminders in your immediate environment, whether that's at work or at home. If you're someone who does some weekly planning, if you're setting your, I don't know, if you're in a working environment and you set out your week, or you're raising a family and you set out your week, whatever your situation may be, ask yourself some very specific questions about how will I incorporate my word of the year? How can I use it to guide me in my activities this week? For mine is create. If I know I'm going into a situation that, I don't know, maybe full of tension, I'm going to ask myself, okay, what are the things that I can do to create ease? How can I respect people, even if I have a different opinion or an opposing opinion? Or maybe, oh, I know this week is going to be so stressful. What can I do to create some peace, create some time for self-care? Again, put some planning into it. So incorporate it into your weekly planning, your monthly planning, whatever that may be. Make it a part of your life. You could even put a reminder in your phone, either a daily reminder, a weekly reminder, a monthly reminder, a quarterly reminder, whatever works for you. Is, how did I use my word of the year? Or how am I going to use my word of the year? Or maybe your reminder simply says, remember, use your word of the year to guide your activities, to guide your choices and your decisions. Some reminders as you start about to implement your word into your daily activities or your weekly activities, whatever it turns out to be. Reminder number one, if it doesn't fit, change it. There's no word of the year police. Nobody cares if you're going to change it. This is about you. This is about helping you lead your own living. Another reminder is you just may not be able to narrow it down to one word. Maybe you have two words or three words. I think that's okay. Use them and see how you can use each one in your daily, weekly, monthly living activities, and how you're using each one to guide decisions and choices that you are making. It may be midway through the year that you kind of settle on one. Or another idea that you could, if you have a few words, you know what? Put them in a little jar and pick out a word of a month. Maybe you want to apply it for your month instead of a whole year. Maybe you have commitment issues and can't quite settle or commit to one word for the whole year. That's all right. Put them in a little jar, pick out your word each month or every quarter or every couple months, whatever works for you, and see how that goes for you. It is about making incremental improvements and about being deliberate with how you want to live and to create the feeling that you want to have with your everyday living. Another really important reminder is this doesn't have to happen in January. If you happen to be just thinking about a word of the year, and it might be February, March, April, May, whenever, any time in the year. So start it then. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of a new year. I really feel like the year actually starts in September. September always feels like the start of the year for me, but it doesn't matter what time of the year that you do this. The important part is to give thought to it and do it, because this is a step in taking responsibility and creating the life that you want to live, rather than sitting back and waiting for something to happen or waiting for someone else to create the life that you want to live. No one else is doing it. No one else is coming. You're in charge. Which also brings me to the last reminder, is that take this seriously. It can really make a difference, and it will feel good when you start applying it to some of your first few decisions and actions. So take it seriously, but also have fun with it. I would love to hear about your experience with using a word of the year. Have you done it before? Are you going to do it this year? Is this your first time? What is your word, if you're comfortable sharing with it? Would love for you to share that in the comments. And if any of this information resonated with you or seemed to be a little bit helpful, please give me a like or share the video with someone else that you think may benefit from it. Live well, friends. Remember, you're in charge. Lead your living, your wellness, your work, your leisure.